Welcome to EPG Pathshala in the subject of information technology and in the paper of open source software. Friends, in the previous module we have seen how to install Linux system. You might have experienced the user interface of Linux operating system. You might have seen the command prompt or maybe the graphical user interface. In this module, we will go into a little bit more detail of the graphical user interface that is available with Linux. We will see certain tools and applications that can be used by system administrator or by end users. And finally, we will try to summarize how it is helpful to all of us, and we will try to compare the difference between existing Windows operating system and Linux operating system. We will see the comparison and we will see how Linux can be helpful to us. So, I hope at the end of the module, I will try to motivate you enough to use the Linux operating system. So, let us begin our discussion. We will study the different interfaces, we will study basic operations, and we will study different tools for the Linux applications. Linux provides two interfaces, one is command line, the other is graphical user interface. There are differences. For instance, the command line interface will provide you the terminal through which we type the commands. It is not for layman users. Generally, layman users they prefer graphical user interface, where they get icons, they get windows, and they can deal with different icons and applications through GUI. Graphical user interface is good for laymen, but for system administrators or for programmers who want to perform repetitive tasks, who do not want to waste time in finding or locating the icon, they can use command line interface. So, there are two ways to achieve certain tasks. If there is some admin level task, it can be naturally achieved by the command level interface, but if you want to type some document, you want to edit some image, then naturally we require graphical user interface. So, when we come to the graphical user interface, there are desktop environments. GNOME is a very popular desktop environment. It is a kind of environment which provides graphical user interface, and mostly it is available in Red Hat based distributions like Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Fedora, CentOS, SUSE and Debian. GNOME has a menu driven navigation kind of GUI. There is also a very popular desktop environment like KDE. KDE is mostly used by youngsters. As per my experience, I have seen lot of youngsters, they are using KDE. It provides a good interface. It is generally used with SUSE or OpenSUSE, and there are few other desktop environments like Unity, which is used on Ubuntu. There are environments like XFCE, LXDE and so on. I have seen most of the system administrators, they use GNOME, and most of the users who deal with multimedia content, they use KDE. So, let us explore desktop environment, and when we say desktop environment, it is a bundle of different tools and utilities that come in the form of graphical user interface. So, this is a screen of CentOS. It is a GNOME desktop. Once the system is installed, you will see this screen. As I said, this screen is for system administrators. You won't find lot of icons over here, but there are menus. There is application menu, there is places, there is system, there are some shortcuts for browser to control sound, network, date and time, and the users menu. So, these are the task bar, you find various tasks and these are the menus. In Windows, you will find the start button at the bottom, but when we discuss GNOME, it is over here at the top left corner. Let us see the next desktop. This is the desktop provided by Ubuntu. It is somewhat different. You can see the applications, they are over here in the left pane. There are folders, there is a similar bar which contains some other information. So, when a user wants to browse internet or he wants to start any application, he will refer to these icons, that is at the left side. Now, Ubuntu is coming with the Amazon application. So, the Ubuntu distribution is backed by Amazon, and that is why we find the icon for Amazon over here. Let us see one more desktop. This is another desktop for Trisquel Linux. As I said, this Trisquel Linux is purely FSF approved Linux. So, Free Software Foundation. It is 100% open source. As in the previous case, there was Amazon icon. Here you will not find any company controlling this Linux distribution. Over here we see a start button at the bottom. It is at the left bottom area, and when we click over the start button, it will launch all the applications menu. There is a recycle bin, there is a my computer icon, and there are configuration icons for network and so on. They are at the bottom right corner. One more is Linux Mint. This is the GUI for Mint. Mint is preferred by most of the people. It is among the topmost downloaded distributions. You can see there are a lot of applications over here. There is again a start button at the bottom left. When someone clicks over here, they can see different applications. There are Office Suite, there are different applications like accessories and so on. There is a browser, command prompt is there, this will indicate terminal. So, this is the desktop environment that is provided by Mint. So, when we talk about Linux distributions, different distributions they come with different environment. If a user has installed more than one environment, he may have choice. For instance, today I am using Genome, tomorrow I can use KDE. So, at the time of login, the login screen I can specify what environment I require, whether I need the Genome environment, whether I need KDE or whether I need XFCE. But it has to be installed before the Linux is being installed. So, at the time of installation of Linux, we must select the required environments that we need. It has not changed much. The Genome environment is simple. It is the same way. There is a menu at the top left corner, and you can browse different icons or different GUI applications from the menu. Now, let us see one more environment, that is command line interface. This is purely a command line interface. The font color is green and blue. It can be changed. The background can be white, font can be black. User has freedom to change the colors, background, foreground. But whenever the user issues commands, they are in the command prompt. So, here you will not find any icon, but these command prompts are helpful when you want to run applications, programs that use batch processing, or they may be helpful for the repetitive tasks. In the future modules, we will see various commands that can be issued at command prompt. We will discuss what is the directory structure, how the commands are executed in future modules. Now, when we talk about Linux system and when we are discussing the GUI, we must discuss X window. X window helps in giving a GUI interface. So, when we say X window, there is X server and the applications are running X client. So, almost all GUI applications they use X window system. X window when the system starts, the server will boot, X window will also start. For a given environment, there will be X window, it will take care of the session. So, as soon as a person logs in, the session will start, X client will keep on running, it will interact with the X window server, and that is how the user will get GUI. So, the X window system, there is a display manager which has the server, the X server, there is display management configuration, applications are there, and there are some other utilities that take care of the client logins. So, when we say X window system, there is a display manager that will keep track of user activities through the X server, and it will give client interface to the users. And when we talk about desktop environment, the X window system provides desktop environment. So, for each session there is a session manager, there is a window manager which takes care of the windows, and there are utilities, small utilities which can be used by the users. So, if it is a genome desktop environment, the display manager is GDM. So, as soon as you start genome, a process of GDM will be launched in the background. Similarly, for KDE there is KDM manager, for Ubuntu there is LightDM, and so on. So, for different desktop environments there are different display managers that take care of the session and user interface. Now, let us see a screen where we can see the user interaction. The first half contains desktop background, the blue screen is the background. This is something where user will click at the top right corner. You can see the username, demo is the username. On clicking on this, this menu will be shown. So, a user can log off, or the user can lock the screen, the user can log out and switch as another user. And when the user clicks on preferences, this control center will be seen. It is similar to the control panel of Windows. It is a GUI interface where you can see different icons. To configure different resources, there are different icons, date, time, all these things can be configured from the control center. So, this is an example of GUI where you can navigate from a menu to different icons for different kind of configuration. We will see a couple of configuration in our videos where we will try to change the desktop background. Here it is blue, we will try to change the background. We will see how to modify the network configurations using this GUI format. Here you can see there is a recycle bin, it is filled. There are few other icons, there is an icon for CD. So, if the CD drive is mounted, you can see the icon over here. So, this is a sample genome configuration, and similar configurations are available for KDE or some other desktop environment. The only thing is kind of interface will change, the placement of icons, the look and feel will change, but most of the utilities will be available in almost all desktop environment. Now, apart from desktop environment, there are applications. Applications like browsers, Office suite, these are GUI based application. When we use Office suite, naturally we will require the graphical user interface, without which typing of a document or creating a spreadsheet will be very difficult task. So, let us quickly browse through certain applications that are supported by Linux. There are web browsers. Linux supports different kind of browsers. Most of the browsers that are supported by Windows, they are also supported by Linux, except few. Email clients, as we have MS Outlook, Linux has many email client, they are applications. There are online media applications, there are Office suite available. Here we again have a choice, we can use either of the Office suite. For programmers, there are IDEs, there are simple development environment, and there are IDEs, and there are other thousands of small applications and utilities that can be executed as GUI. So, let us see each of them one by one. Linux does support different browsers. The most familiar ones, Firefox. Firefox is also open source, which is supported by Linux. Google Chrome is a highly used browser. There are few other browsers, Conqueror is there, and there is a typical browser, Lynx, that uses command line. So, if you do not have a GUI and if you want to browse internet through command line, then there is Lynx browser which can be used. It will be fun in using Lynx. You can install Lynx and you can try out using Lynx browser. It saves lot of data. When we are not using graphical user interface, you will save lot of data by using Lynx browser. Email clients. Now, there are clients like Thunderbird, Evolution. There are also text based client. There is a mail command which will invoke the mail client, and all web browser based clients are also supported. So, Linux has a rich email application base. You can use either of these client software if you want to send or receive email. Now, when we are using email clients, we must know how to configure them. For example, most of us are having accounts with Gmail or Yahoo. So, these Gmail services, they use IMAP protocol, SMTP protocol, and we must know how to configure our client software with those Gmail servers. If it is a corporate environment, then again there will be a corporate server, departmental server, which will be using SMTP, IMAP, POP protocol. Again, those they have to be configured with the client software. Earlier days there were no GUI software, so people used to send emails using command prompt. So, there was application or utility like send mail. It was a mail server and mail client software was there. People used to type emails using the command prompt and they were being sent. So, Linux has a very rich email applications. It also has some other small utilities which can be configured for email purposes. Let us see other application software. There are internet applications like FileZilla. It supports the FTP file software. FTP client is our FileZilla and there can be a server VSFTPD or so. Pidgin is used for applications like Gtalk, AIM, ICQ, MSN, all those IRC kind of messages. If you want to use VoIP, then there is a application EKIGA. For chatting, there is application HexChat. These are the widely used applications. Apart from these, there may be hundreds of other applications depending on the utility or service. Office suite. Linux has two widely used Office suite software. One is LibreOffice, the other is OpenOffice. We have a choice, we can use either LibreOffice or we can use OpenOffice. In the subsequent modules, we will be discussing more detail about LibreOffice, how it is helpful, how it differs from other Office applications. But nowadays, most of the Linux system, when we install Linux, by default LibreOffice comes with the Linux application. In some cases, OpenOffice comes with the Linux application. Earlier it was OpenOffice, but nowadays it is Apache OpenOffice. It is distributed under the Apache license. Similarly, LibreOffice is distributed under couple of other licenses. So, as we have MS Office in Windows environment, similarly we have LibreOffice for Linux. Again, if you are not comfortable with LibreOffice, you can use Apache OpenOffice, which is another software. These Office suite, they provide Word, Excel, PowerPoint kind of functionalities. So, there is a writer module, writer application through which we can create documents. There is Calc through which we can create spreadsheets. We can create presentations using Impress. We can create drawings, we can create math equations, and all these kind of utilities, they are provided by Office applications. Let us see what other facilities are provided. For application programmers who use C, C++, Java languages, Linux has couple of editors like VI and Emacs. They are very good advanced editors which can be highly customized depending on the use of the user. User has again a choice, either a user can use VI or user can use Emacs. Now, these are command line interfaces. It will not be rich in GUI, but these are editors which the programmers can use. And when we are talking of editors, there are compilers like GCC and debuggers like GDB that can be used along with these editors. If I want a GUI interface for editing or writing my program, there is a widely used Eclipse editor, and there are few other editors depending on the programming language. So, Eclipse is again an open source editor, it is an integrated development environment. Nowadays, it comes with support of Amazon cloud, etc. You can log into the Amazon cloud with the editor itself. It is widely used for Java environment, and it also supports other languages like C, C++. So, there are again hundreds of editors that can be used. Eclipse is a widely used GUI editor, and there are few other editors like VI and Emacs. So, this is how programmers can benefit from the Linux system. Now, let us see some applications like audio processing. There are many applications, but the widely used applications are like MROC, Audacity, Rhythmbox. They provide very good interface. They have wide support of different kind of files like MP3, OGG format and so on. Audacity can be used to record and edit sound files. It is not only a player, it can also edit sound files. You can enhance or you can bring certain effects like echo, or you can use synthesizer with Audacity. Similarly, there are few other softwares, and there are many more MP3 players that are available with Linux. You might have come across VLC. VLC is widely used movie player. Similarly, there are other players like MPlayer, Zine, Totem, etc. Most of these players are available with Linux. They are open source. Each player has its own advantage. We can create our playlists, we can play movies, we can select tracks. VLC is again a highly configurable media player. It is also available with Windows environment. The same interface is available with the Linux environment. Coming back to video editors, there are lot of editors available. So, editing of videos can be done using Kino, CinePaint. Blender is again a widely used open source 3D animation tool. It also comes with a game engine. So, we can create 3D animation models, we can create games using Blender. There are Cinelera and FFmpeg tools. FFmpeg is again widely used for conversion. So, when we want to convert a video format from one format to another, for instance from DVI to MP4, then we can use FFmpeg libraries. So, these are generally used by the video professionals or the gaming developers. Blender is a very good 3D modeling software through which we can create games, and we can also use video editing modes. There is a highly used tool GIMP. GIMP is GNU Image Manipulation Program, which is quite similar to Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is a proprietary software, whereas GIMP is purely open source, and it can do lot of editing or manipulation with image using GIMP. We have spared a separate module to understand GIMP and how it is useful, because those who cannot afford Adobe Photoshop or those who want to use GIMP over Linux, they can benefit by studying the GIMP software. There are graphic editing tools. there are tools which can support vector level graphics, which comes with tools like paint brush. You can paint, you can draw shapes, etc. So, there are tools like EOG, which is Eye of Genome. There is Inkscape, it is again a very popular tool which can be used instead of Adobe Illustrator. There is Convert tool and there is Scribus. Scribus is kind of what you see is what you get environment. So, you can use either of the tool, you can mastery a single tool and you can do lot of graphic editing with these tools. Now, before summarizing, let us see a few videos. Now, let us see a few videos in which we will browse through the graphical user interface. We will see how desktop background can be changed or how we can navigate the file system. So, these are small videos which will give a feel of how Linux works, and though it is a recorded video, you will see the speed of processing, how fast it opens up the applications. So, the first video you can see there is a desktop background, we are changing the background. From blue background we will change some other color, we can select a color, we can also change themes and fonts. Now, we are changing theme, I can select a particular theme and I can say close. Immediately the icons will change. This is the date menu bar. On right clicking over the network icon, we can change the network configuration, we can change IP addresses. As of now, there is no IP address, it is blank, but we can add our IP address. So, this is an example of desktop environment which is with genome. You can see the icon of genome. This is the sound configuration. We can click on the speaker and we get the sound configuration. Same can be configured from the preferences menu. Now, let us see some other menus that come with genome environment. By clicking on applications, we can see different menu items, accessories, graphics, different internet applications, office suite like LibreOffice, editors for programming purpose, sound and video players, and there are system tools. You can see folders, user folder which comes under home folder, in system there are preferences, we can configure different mouse, keyboard, and there are certain administrative level tools to configure software. Let us start an application. So, here we are launching LibreOffice. It is LibreOffice Impress, it is for presentation purpose. We can create presentations using this application. Let us see another application. This is LibreOffice Writer, which is used for creating documents. As I said, GIMP is for image manipulation. It is again a huge software and comes with lot of facilities and plugins. We can create and manipulate images with GIMP software. Now, let us see one more video recording which contains the discussion of files. So, as I said, a user has its own file which comes under home folder. These are the files of user demo, the folders of user demo, and there can be system wide files in computer icon. So, this is entire file system, and these are the system directories. Different directories have different significance, which we will see in the next modules. Few directories are created by user. For instance, speech is created by user, GIR is created by user. If he is admin, he can create directories at root level. There are facilities of connecting to other networks, other servers from the places menu. So, friends, in this module we have seen different applications, different GUI that are available for users. Let us quickly summarize what we have learnt in this module. We started our discussion with interfaces, that there are two interfaces, command line and graphical user interface. Then we have discussed different desktop environments, Genome, KDE, XFCE, they are different environments provided with Linux. So, if a user wants Genome, he can use the Genome kind of environment where the menu is at the top left corner. If the user wants a better look and feel environment, then there is KDE environment which comes with lot of icons. So, it is the user's choice to select a particular desktop environment, and behind this desktop environment there is X manager. So, those X window system, they will support desktop environment. There is a server and a client through which desktop environments will give the GUI. And finally, we have seen certain applications that can be used with Linux. There are very few applications which I have shown over here. Thousands of such applications exist, and if we install a complete Linux system, you can see wide variety of applications. For a single use, there are n number of applications, and we have a choice of selecting either of those applications. We have seen couple of videos through which we can get a better look and feel of Linux operating system. So, with this we end this module. I hope I have encouraged you enough in using open source software and using Linux. Some applications like LibreOffice can also be installed on proprietary software like MS Windows. So, please do experiment with open source software. Thank you. Thank you.